I'm Jonny Durand. I'm a local resident here at Beechmont. I grew up, I was actually born on the mountain. I grew up here. I went to school just around the corner. Watched my father hang glide from here when I was 9 years old, and was fortunate enough to get to spread my wings with him and go tandem flying at a young age. Once I became old enough to learn to fly myself, I did just that, and I took off here at the age of 14. I've been now flying for nearly 28 years, currently 21 times Australian champion and ranked number 3 in the world. When I was at school, the only time I could fly was on the weekends, and this became a very important training ground for me to become one of the best pilots in the world. Set the world's longest flight from here about 12 years ago from a mountain launch. It has had the Australian record for a long time, and yeah, it's a very important part of my training, coming up here and being able to fly. One of the best flying sites in the world. It actually went up for sale. My parents jumped on it and bought the property probably 15 plus years ago to secure it as a launch site. Eventually they sold this 50 acres to the Canungra Hang Gliding Club. Canungra Hang Gliding Club is the biggest club in Australia. We've had many Australian champions, we've had some of the world's best pilots come out of our club. It's a huge training ground, and for the club to put so much money into having a takeoff for us to fly and to train from, to lose that is an essential part of the club. We have a lot of weather that depends on this site, and for us not to be able to fly here to potentially break some of the world records, just to enjoy the scenery. I mean, it's one of the most amazing places to fly in the world, and it's going to have a huge effect on the club if we can't find a bottom landing field. One of the most important parts of a flying site is to have a landing field at the bottom of the takeoff. Without that, we can't fly because we can't guarantee we can't stay up. We don't have a motor. We rely on the weather conditions, and sometimes in the emergency we end up down the bottom, and without a landing field down the bottom, it's basically we can't fly here anymore. So it's extremely important for us to gain a landing field down there, otherwise our flying and being able to practice here stops. This site hosts 2 of Australia's major competitions every year. Unfortunately, COVID restricted a couple of them in the recent years, but this year looks like the first year that we're not going to have any competitions here, which is a huge effect on the club. It brings money, it brings a lot of people to the community, it brings international visitors over here to check out the national parks, the Gold Coast. It's one of the biggest competitions in Australia, and for us not to run that event is going to be detrimental for the club. And now we're in search of trying to secure that bottom landing field so that we can continue to fly here. Obviously, for me, being a local resident, being my home site, I fly all around the world, but this is one of my favourite places to fly. Once I take off here, I get to see the national parks, the waterfalls, the Gold Coast, all the surroundings. And I guess for me, it's really important if the ministers can come out here, help us to be able to fly here again, because this is something that we're all missing. It's had a huge effect on local businesses and paragliding developers, a lot of people all around the world. So yeah, for us to lose a site like this is, it's detrimental for me, for the residents, for the local businesses, and we're just hoping to be able to fly here again soon.